Hey guys, I hope you guys are doing well. Hopefully the first video wasn't too bad for you guys yesterday or the day before. Um, yeah, so that's 1D we did last time, which was solving linear equations. Now moving on to 1E, which is solving inequalities or linear inequalities. So starting off, I just want to go over some terminology. Should be revision from years ago, but at the same time, I don't expect you to have remembered it. Stuff like this is stuff you can always forget, so it is what it is. So starting off, we have these four signs here, and these are what we call inequality signs. What an inequality is when two things aren't the same. Basic definition there. So we have the first one, which is starting off bigger and closing in. That one is called our greater than. So let me just change color. So it's called our greater than sign. And we normally read it left to right. And an example is we'll say 4 is greater than 2. All that means is 4 is a bigger number than 2. Right, but now we're also talking about we're using x, y, whatever variables we want. So we can also say x is greater than 3. And what that means is x can be as many numbers as possible we want, right? It's greater than 3, so it's above 3. So x could be 5, it could be 6, it could be 7, it could be 3.5, it could be 104. You just got to be greater than 3, but not equal to 3, right? So it's going to be greater than 3. Now we have this one here. So again, it's starting off bigger, going smaller, but now let's put a line underneath it. And that's called greater than or equal to. So the only difference between this one here and this one here, so the only difference between greater than or greater than and equal to, is that line underneath it. You can think of it as being half of an equal sign. That's the way I think of it. And what it means is we'll say that x is greater than or equal to 3. So what that means is x can actually be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, so on and so forth, but it can actually be 3. In the one before, we had x is greater than 3, it's got to be higher than 3. So it can be 3.0001, 3.1 upwards. But for this one here, it means it can go from 3 upwards that. So x could be 3, 4, 5, 110, whatever you want. So that's that there. Now we have these two here. So it starts off small and goes bigger. That one is less than. Now we always read it left to right. So an example, we'll say 2 is less than 4. And obviously that's true. 2 is a smaller number than 4. And if we put it into an x, we can say x is less than 10. What that means is x is a lower number than 10. So, 9.999999 for as long as you want. 9, 5, -4, -10, whatever you want. It's just got to be below 10. Now, just like before, we have a less than sign and we have that line underneath it. And that one's going to mean less than or equal to. So, if I use that same example as before, we'll say x is less than or equal to 10. Now our values for x, so whatever value it may be, can start from 10. So it can be 10, it can be 9, it can be 8, it can be -10, it can be -400. But now it includes 10, right? So that equal to means it includes that number. So that's the terminology we're using. Now, what we can actually do is we can actually show these on a number line. So what I've got here is I've got my 4 inequalities on the left, and on the right I've written 4 number lines, one for each one. So let's say that for greater than, which is the first one, let's say I'm focusing on x is greater than 3. What that means is x is a higher number than 3. So for a number line, I have my line there and I have my numbers. For me, I've gone from -6 all the way to +6. A number line can be as big or as small as you want, right? So now we know that it's greater than 3. So what that means is going to be 3 upwards. But note how it's not the equals to. Remember that this one here means it's above 3, not equal to 3. So the way we represent this on a number line is we actually put an open circle on 3. So just like this. So an open circle, that represents it starting at 3 but not including 3. And that's really important, right? And then what we do is we just put a line going upwards, and then you can put an arrow. And what that means is that x, or whatever number, whatever x, y, whatever it is greater than 3, but not including 3. So that arrow means it can go on forever because it can be a million, it can be 2 million, it can be a billion. But as long as it starts above 3. Right, now, if I do my greater than or equal to, if I do x is greater than or equal to, I'll say -2. Now, what that means is we're going from -2 upwards, but because we have that greater than or equal to, it means we're actually starting from -2. So, what we're going to do is now we're going to do a closed circle. So it's just going to be colored in or a closed circle, and I'm going to do the exact same thing I did before. Draw a line all the way to the end, and then put an arrow. And what that tells me is that tells me that x, or whatever value it is, maybe I'll put an x there, just so we know we're talking about x, it's greater than -2, but also because the closed dot, it's equal to -2. So that means -2, so x can be -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way up to whatever we want. But it can also be that -2. Now, we have less than, so remember that's a less than sign. If I say x is less than, we'll say 4. It's going to do the same thing. Going to look at 4. Now remember that this is not including 4, so what I'm going to do is do an open circle on 4, and then just draw, because it's, remember 4 is a bigger number. 4 is greater than x, well that means I'm going to do it less than, so it's going downwards, all the way down, and then putting my arrow there, and then putting x. What that tells me is 4 is the highest number it can be, not including 4, so 3.999999999, so on, and x is below that up until -infinity, right? Now finally, if I say x is, we'll say less than or equal to -6, what that means is we're starting at -6, and because it's also equal to, so less than or equal to -6, I'm going to do a closed dot, and again my arrow, and x. So that means is x can be -6 and lower. So that's how we draw it on a number line. I'll upload this in the classroom. I think I'm going to upload the other one as well. I forgot about that. So that's new content, right? But now we're also going to be talking about solving linear inequalities. So the way we solve linear inequalities is the same way that we did linear relations. So we're going to treat it exactly like before. We're going to treat our inequality sign, so greater than, equal to, less than, or less than or equal to, as if it's an equal sign. And the only time we're going to treat it differently is when we're multiplying or dividing by a negative number. So what I mean here, so if we look at these two examples here, so we have less than 5 is less than, -5 is less than -3. We know that's true. We know that -5 is smaller than -3. But let's say I wanted to make it a positive number, right? Remember, I'm treating this sign here as if it's an equal sign. So I'm just going to pretend it's an equal sign in my head. If I times both of these by by -1, which I can do as long as I do it to both sides. So if I times -5 by -1 and times -3 by -1, what you're going to see is I'm going to get 5 is less than 3. But obviously that's not right, right? Obviously it's not right. Obviously 5 is greater than 3. So whenever we times or multiply by a negative number, if it's 1, 2, 3, 10, or a half, whatever it is, we actually have to flip our sign as well. So we're timesing by -1, we also flip our sign the other way. And now it makes sense, right? So that's one thing you have to do. So when multiplying or dividing by a negative number, you must also flip the inequality sign. So from that to that, and so on and so forth. Right, now I'm going to show you what it means here. So I'm going to treat it like an equal sign. So I have -2x is greater than 4. Now I want to get x by itself, right? I want to get x by itself. We know that x is getting times by -2. So how do I get rid of that times by -2? I do the opposite. So I'm going to divide both sides by -2. But remember, because I'm multiplying or dividing by a negative, I've got to flip the sign as well. So I'm going to be left with x, and then I'm flipping the sign to this way, and 4 divided by -2, you can either put in your calculator or do it in your head, it equals to -2. And that's how we do it, right? So that's that. If you guys are confident to go ahead and start, go for it. Otherwise, I'm going to go through 3 examples here. Also, if you guys are about to click off, can you guys let me know if it helps with the videos? Either send me an email or just comment. I really don't mind. Just let me know if it actually helps. Just so I'm not wasting my time and wasting your time. Alright, so looking at the examples, solve the following and graph their solutions on a number line. So we have 3x plus 4 is greater than 13. Now I'm going to treat it as if it's an equal sign, and I want to get x by itself. So I'm solving for x. So we have 3x plus 4 is greater than 13. I'm going to get rid of that plus 4. So it's the same thing we've done in 1D. So I'm going to minus 4. So if I minus 4 from this side, whatever I do to one side, I've got to do to the other. Minus 4 on this side as well. So I'm going to get 3x is greater than 13 minus 4 is 9. So now I've got 3x is greater than 9. I'm going to get that x by itself. So divide both sides by 3. I'm left with x is greater than 3. So that's that. Now it also wants me to graph their solutions on a number line. So I'm going to quickly draw a number line. Doesn't have to be a big one. Make this 0. 1, oh, that's 2. 1, 2, 3. I'll go -1, -2, -3. That's my number line. Now x is greater than 3, but not including it. Means I start at 3, do an open circle because it's not including it, and draw a line, an arrow, an x there. And that tells me that x is greater than 3. Now doing the next one. B, 4 minus x divided by 3 is less than or equal to 6. So I have a positive 4 here, I have a negative x on 3, and I have a positive 6. It's really important that you guys see that the negative, or that minus, is part of this one here, just because it'll help us out. So just like before, my first step is I'm going to get rid of this positive 4. How I get rid of a positive 4 is a minus 4 on both sides. So minus 4 here, minus 4 here. Left with negative x on 3 is less than or equal to 2. Now, I have negative x on 3 is less than or equal to 2. I'm going to get rid of that divided by 3. So I'm going to times both sides by 3. And left with negative x is less than or equal to 2 times 3 is 6. Now, I want to get x as a positive. So what I do is I times both sides by -1, because I have a negative that there. I want to get rid of that. So times both sides by -1. Now remember, when we're timesing or multiplying by a negative, it's really, really important that we swap the sides. We swap the inequality sign. So I'm left with x. Now I flip it, is greater than or equal to -6. And that's my answer there. And then I'll let you guys graph it on a number line. Finally, left with kind of the hardest one we'll see in the chapter on exercise. 3x plus 2 is greater than 6x minus 4. What I want to do is get x's on one side and the whole numbers on the other. So my first step is I want to get rid of this plus 2. So what I'm going to do is minus 2 from both sides. Left with 3x is greater than 6x minus 4 minus 2 is minus 6. You can put that in your calculator if you want to. So now I want to get rid of this positive 6x and bring it to this side. So to get rid of a positive 6x, what I do is minus 6x from both sides. 3 minus 6x, if you put that in your calculator, you get negative 3x is greater than, this gets rid of it, so we're left with negative 6. Now, where we have a negative on both sides, or we have a negative 3x, so we want to do the opposite. So we want to divide both by 3. So divide by 3, divide by 3. I'm left with negative x is greater than negative 2. But because I want a positive, I times it by a positive 1. Because I want a positive x, I times it by a negative 1. Because remember, a negative times a negative is a positive. And the most important part, I flip the sign as well. So x is now less than 2. And then you guys can put in the calculator. That's setting us up for 1E. I'll upload these on Google Classroom as well. Try to watch it before the lesson. If you don't, I can't really stop you because I'm not there. But please let me know if these videos help. Because, yeah, I don't want to be wasting my time, especially when I'm sick and I want to rest as well. So just let me know. And yeah, appreciate it. All right, take care, guys.